actually took place, what actually was said. The minutes from the last council meeting that you approved. Bob Zick, Mr. Zick discussed the budget for a taste of Maplewood, the cancellation of fireworks July 4th, and recent election process. I think it would behoove that it also would reflect that the chair had the press removed by the police chief. I think that's pertinent to be in those minutes so people understand what goes on up here. Taste of Maplewood, net cost $46,000. That's after the $31,000 revenue that was brought in, so that cost $77,000. Now this was another boondoggle. Let's talk about elections. Again, Precinct 7 was screwed up, and you know that was the last time in the Coleman Franken election, where after the election was over we found 171 ballots. You know, their elections are what, run by Deb Schmidt and Karen Guilfoyle?
That is enough, Mr. Zick.
What?
You will not.
Oh, okay. All right. So they're not run by Karen Guilfoyle.
All right,
and
you're
Deb
done
Schmidt.
For the night.
Well, just
Mr.
bringing
Zick,
this up.
sit down. Sit down.
You know, people are sick and tired of you, Ross
You
Bach,
expressly
not allowing
violated the
citizens to
rules.
get up.
You will
No,
sit
your
down,
rules.
or I
Your
will
rules.
have you removed from
your rules.
this chambers.
Thanks for
You will
threatening the
sit
citizens,
down
Mr.
right
Ross Bach.
now.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Are there any other people who wish to speak at visitor presentations? It would be nice if on occasion we got a normal person to come up and speak instead of idiots like Mr. Zick. So, moving on. I hope you do. You are a total buffoon, and you come here and waste our time on a regular basis. And you will be quiet, Mr. Zick. This is not your show. You either be quiet or I will have you removed.
Please be quiet.
Leave the chambers, Mr. Zick. Now.
On what authority, Mr. Rothbach?
On mine.
It's the chair.
I want him removed.
Citizens love you, Mr. Rothbach.
Real citizens do.
All right. Well, you see the attitude that goes on up there. Now we're going to play some more clips here. Just hand them to me. That was from a little bit of that was from this week, and the part of it from this Monday, and part of it was from Monday 2 weeks ago at the Maplewood City Council meeting. And you see the attitude that the chair has up there towards people that want to, you know, question their government, question what government's up to, what government's doing to them. And so we're going to get into some discussions tonight, and in regard to, well, the issue that one of the big issues up there is this government takeover and running of the trash hauling service. And two issues that are going to become apparent is, one, that your trash, if you want to call it trash, or whatever you want to dispose of, is still your property. That's private property. It does not belong to the government. It does not become the property of the government unless you choose to make it the property of the government. The other thing is that when should government come in and tell a legal business that they no longer can be in business, that they cannot use the roads that they pay for, especially when they pay for them with license fees for their vehicles. And when can they tell a legitimate business that they can no longer be in business and enter into free commerce with their customers? So you have the two things. When is government, three things. When does government have the right to tell you who you can do business with or who you have to buy a product from? So we're going to get into this a little bit tonight, and then we're going to get into I think one of the things that I want to talk about too when we get into this is I made a couple phone calls today and over to the Star Trib. Talked to the editor over there, and I talked to Emma Carew, who is the press secretary, it turns out, for the City of Maplewood. That, you know, I'll ask you this question. Should a newspaper take and allow a city like Maplewood to call up and say, we want you to run a public relations piece for us because we want to continue hoodwinking the citizens and the taxpayers and try to convince them that we no longer are operating a dysfunctional service. We don't want people to know that we have many lawsuits going against us, wiper recycling, people that have had these taking and trying to get these huge fees that are put on them removed for road constructions and so forth. Tax questions that come out of like Maplewood Mall. I mean, the question goes on and on about the different lawsuits that are pending against Maplewood, and then you get into this where the city now wants to portray itself. You see how as this caring, open government that everybody is welcome. You have one of the city council persons, James Lannis, up there that came to the council with one and only one agenda that I saw, and that was to push forward his lifestyle, the gay, transgender kind of lifestyle, and redefine marriage and family. And so we now want to disguise this all as a city, shining city on a hill. Well, no, it's a city down in a trench is what you have. And so we're going to show you some things tonight, and I'm going to take and I want to read some of this what that was in the Star Trib. And when I left the message over there earlier today, and then I talked to the reporter of this, and the whole gist of this is when you buy a product, when you buy a newspaper, you expect a just like any product. If the product isn't a good product, yes, you either want to return that product or you want to call the manufacturer and say, you know, there's a problem with your product. And that's what I did when I talked to the reporter for this article. That's what I did with the editor of the Star Trib. So we have some more pieces we want to play here. and then we're going to keep jumping back and forth. Okay, go ahead.
They
Right.
haven't been selling their product. We haven't been getting any money.
Right,
So
so
in
then-
in the report that we had, the one thing that really didn't come up is that instead of getting like $100-some thousand, we got $14,000. And so that's a big number. So
Right.
it puts us short on our funds.
Right, so then we had to pay them more then, right?
I don't know that we paid them more. The contract's for a set amount. It has to do with
Okay.
how much we get.
Okay, well, I'm really glad that we've switched over to a new contractor who appears that they will be able to meet their contract obligations.
Eureka met all their contract obligations, and it is disrespectful to that business to indicate that they have not.
Oh,
And so they have met all their obligations.
right, under the revised contract.
And you were here for the other contract.
But under the revised one, they've met that, yes, that's correct.
That's correct.
And
And actually, they met the ones on the other revised one because there was a clause in that contract that allowed them to come back if there was not a good market to sell their product.
Okay. And then,
That whole little conversation there about Eureka, and Tenant is the person or the company that now was awarded the contract. Eureka was given a pretty open contract, not a lot of stipulations, but that was really their buddy of choice. And then when Tenant came in here with a good product and a largely reduced cost or price, the city came along and put all these conditions and stipulations on them as if to say, you know what, we're going to find a way to make you fail so we can get our buddies Eureka back in here. So, I mean, even to the point, and you'll hear me say this, that even to the point that the city now wants to, by contract, and it forces the tenant into this if they want to do business, we'll actually come inside of your facility and see if we like what's going on. Unbelievable. It's not whether you do the job, but it's how we decide you're doing it, whether we like the way you're doing it. All right, we have another clip here. Let's go with the next clip. I think we have another clip here. They told me they had a clip here. 505.
That would be 1 of 5.
Yeah, 1 for 5. You got 0 of 5, 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5, and 4 of 5. Let's start off. Bob Zick, of course, property and financial interest in Maplewood. And for the comments that I won't get to tonight, as always, they can see them on Inside Insight, Wednesday night, cable channel 15. First, I would like to start by saying that minutes are supposed to reflect what actually took place, what actually was said. The minutes from the last council meeting that you approved, Bob Zick, Mr. Zick discussed the budget for A Taste of Maplewood, the cancellation of fireworks July 4th, and recent election process. I think it would behoove that it also would reflect that the chair had the press removed by the police chief. I think that's pertinent to be in those minutes so people understand what goes on up here. All right. I think in reading, here's an agenda report, summary of goals and progress, good government. And, you know, I'm going to call this good government, backroom deals, secrecy, lack of transparency, as opposed to what goes on here. Goals specific, make Maplewood city government transparent and accessible. Operate with an environment of efficiency and mutual respect. Take steps to restore trust and respect between citizens, staff, and elected officials. You know, I keep hearing that, well, even in the paper, 3 of 5 over there, made the point that with the discussion of the the redefinition of marriage and family, domestic partner ordinance, that we want to make people feel welcome up here. How welcome do people feel when the chairperson has the police chief remove them from the meeting? People need to understand that. How welcome do people feel when my good friend Dave Schilling over here is berated